me now? Who's gonna tear me down? Remember, this is my game. Yes, it is.
I'm supposed to do the intro?
Go ahead, man. You got the intro, I believe.
Man, real life sucks, and I want to escape real life, so I'm going to get into the Ready Player One simulator. Here we go. Boom. VR. That's what we're talking about.
Hey, man, I love the dystopian tech accelerationism, nihilist, BBC Souls-like, deep-fried aesthetic of your opinion, dog.
I don't even know how to process what you just said. Thank you, though.
Okay, boomer.
So we're talking VR today.
Yeah,
VR hardware, VR implications, implementations. Yeah, that would be the right word.
Insinuations, allegations, restorations, reparations, all of that shit.
Compilation.
Oh, no. Speaking of VR, you go ahead and send me an email if you want to get put on games. sexlikerealapp.com. No, man, VR is super cool. VR is exciting because I've been a believer for the longest, and I don't use it as much as I would like to, but it's because I don't know anyone else who does it. So for me, it's like my single player experience is usually not on VR games.
Mhm.
I have done it, especially when I first got it, and I like it, but I just don't put much time into it because I don't know anyone else that has a VR headset,
Don't
And
worry, buddy. I'll be there soon.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I don't know what age range VR is more popular to, right? Because on one hand, I can imagine, and I think in underdeveloped countries, VR is a lot more popular because, the price of a Quest versus the price of a PlayStation and internet, etc., or a PC.
I feel like VR gamers, especially if they're using standalone quests and just that alone, are just one step above mobile gamers. They're evolved mobile gamers.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that you have such conviction in this opinion, seeing that you don't own or have never visited the Oculus Quest game store, and you
I
don't
have.
know what those games are like.
I have. I played your Quest, both of them, and my friend just got a Quest, and I was looking through the store. It's mobile games, essentially,
It's absolutely
but they're
not, dude.
evolved mobile games.
Dude,
I'm
you're
saying that
smoking dick on that statement. Ridiculous. The Quest has native good graphics games with no upscaling, modding, jailbreaking, anything like that required. Obviously, a lot of their games do have those simplified, downgraded graphics that people love so much. I've always hated them, right? But to this day, people
same.
think that those games age better because they don't have the detail. For example, Ocarina of Time looks like an older, shittier game, right? But Wind Waker does not. I don't like Wind Waker because it's all solid, bright pastel colors and cartoon, but to this day, I'm in the minority on that opinion. I am okay with a game looking like it came from a period, right? Like, think about art. No one complains that 16th century portraits look like they came from the 16th century. But nowadays, we retard all of the graphics in these games so that it'll look better 10 years down the road. And I would rather just have it be a sign of the times. Do the most you can with the hardware you have, right?
But we're in a different time, so it's like I'm not going to make a painting today in 2022 that's a Renaissance, type. That was then. This is now. I think that artwork translation kind of breaks off there a little bit, but
I disagree.
we have new technology, so use the new technology, and I think that I don't like those low quality VR games, and that's why I compare it to mobile games. And it's not even really a comparison to the games themselves, but the type of gamer, which is where we started this, asking why it is or who it is that are using VR over other types of consoles. And I think they're just evolved mobile gamers.
Well, like I said, mobile gaming is really big in those less developed countries as well.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what helped me make that correlation.
I can't tell if it would be a young kid thing because, in a sense, you could buy a Quest to replace like an entire console. So I have no doubt there are a bunch of 12-year-olds out there with a Quest, right? But on the other hand, it's
Mhm.
still kind of expensive, and it seems more like something that people in our age in their 20s are looking forward to because we've been like operating under the mirage of VR gaming for like 10 years. Like we've always thought about it and heard about it. We didn't know what it would actually look like. But we're not new to the concept. It's just never really been obtainable until within the past few years.
If you could put a number on it, how popular do you think VR games are? Because or VR experience in general, you're the only person I know who is into that kind of thing or looking forward to that kind of thing or even really experimented with it or tried it at all. You're the only person I know.
Well, I'm a tech guy.
I know a lot of gamers, and you're the only one that does. That's not a bad thing. My
I don't
research
know
for
that many
this made me
gamers, to be
think.
honest with you, back in the day, but I mean, I would say I know argue almost as many people that play VR as I do people that play on PC. Like that's the reality of it. I would say VR gaming is popular, and what I appreciate about it is to this day it's still, I would compare it to being on the internet in the mid 90s, right? The It's small enough so that it's a very tight knit community. You don't have a lot of toxicity and stupid dog shit opinions. You just have people
Mhm.
that are really interested in tinkering and modding and having the best experience they can. And in that little bit of videos you and me were watching, just getting hyped to do this episode, I think you could see that if you went down to the comment section. Nobody's complaining about anything. They're all just being helpful and talking about how exciting and fun things are, and I really appreciate that niche community. So the trade off is that if it does blow up and become mainstream, that will be forever lost.
The
Just like
VR
everything
community,
else
the
with,
most wholesome and
yeah, just like with the internet, it went from really personable, interesting little forum chats and stuff and feeling like a real community to being super everywhere. Everyone's anonymous. Everyone's a keyboard warrior. And the same would happen in VR, I have no doubt. Right. So for me, I'm kind of enjoying this golden era where things may not be as fast and convenient. There may not be a lot of people doing it by comparison. Right. But the quality of the community is there. And I just enjoy being on the ground level for that kind of stuff. I
I
mean,
want to start a movement to make gameplay toxic for VR.
there we go. Now we're champion something I can
Let's
get
make
behind.
VR toxic. Let's do it.
And to say that I'm the only person with VR, that may be true, but I'm going to be the only person I know driving a Tesla.
That's definitely not a derogatory thing by any means because I think VR is super cool. I just don't think it's widely accepted yet. Um, it's definitely more of a niche thing, but I think it is something that a lot of people can try. And I think the Quest 2 and the numbers have kind of shown that the Quest 2 is definitely a way to entry into that realm with not a lot of money spent. I don't remember what the numbers were like, but Quest 2 is significantly
Quest 2 is
higher selling than anything
$299
else.
with better specs than just about anything else.
Yeah, you definitely get a lot for your money with that.
And for when it came out, it did come out with like the best specs of VR possible, and it's wireless running on PC, and it's half the weight. It did a lot of things really right, and I think the Quest 3 is going to kick it up a notch again. Honestly,
The only sus thing is that it's owned by Facebook/Meta, and we don't like to support those guys. They steal your information and sell it to Chinese.
yeah, it's definitely not ideal that Meta's the driving force behind it, and I don't appreciate the Zuck, but I do appreciate John Carmack. So I'm going with it. It is what it is. I don't care. We have to make these concessions.
Well, the Quest 2 may be the headset that I ended up buying just for how inexpensive it is. You do get it does have like the best price to performance out of all of the headsets. So
Oh, by far, I'm telling you, man. If you're willing to drop another, I don't know how much they would cost now, because now I'm sure they have all kinds of third-party shit. Similar to getting a Nintendo 64 controller or a 3080, I had to go to extreme measures to buy the first aftermarket customized face piece they made. I can't remember the name of the two different content creators, right? But like the two biggest content creators in the VR space both got a limited edition Oculus brand aftermarket face mask release. And I ended up getting a pink one. That's all I could. They did a special edition Christmas one, which was red with like a white leather cushion, which looks sick. They did a blue one for one guy. I think it's Virtual Oasis or something like that. It might be something along those lines. And then whoever the fuck the other one was, I got his or hers, and it's fucking pink. But I got an aftermarket headset. So now I'm sure you could just go to Amazon and type in Quest 2 accessories and get like a whole bundle package where they give you like grips for the controllers, a replacement mask, maybe a replacement band, right? But the tinkering community is definitely strong, and it's I'm a tinkering ass motherfucker. I build keyboards, right?
Oh yeah.
But if you're not that into it, it's still fun, and you get to feel the improvements you're making. It's like upgrading your skill tree in IRL for video gaming.
Well, this kind of brings me into talking. We said the MetaQuest, I think, is one of the best headsets out there. What to you makes a good VR headset? What is it? What do you need to have? What makes one headset better than another? She said that that we both said the price and performance of the Quest is just far superior to a lot of the other headsets on the market. What is it about it that makes it perform?
Okay, so without writing it down and really thinking about it, just spitballing, I'm gonna give you my most to least desirable attributes for a VR headset, specifically the Quest 2. Why I would go back in time and make that same purchase. And I bought the Quest 1 and the Quest 2. So I'm really locked in on this Oculus shit. So I would say, firstly, for me, the fact that it's wireless, right? That's a huge thing. I feel like you had to get the USB-C link, the Quest link, to set up the wireless shit, at least on the Quest 1, but I don't know if that's true on the Quest 2. Regardless, playing wirelessly was a very big thing for me because I've done it wired and it sucks. You'll trip on shit, you'll turn around and it'll get wrapped all around you. It really sucks. I'm not a fan of the wired shit. You could do wired well, but you would realistically have to run your cables up the wall, and that's not something I'm willing to do.
I don't mind doing that kind of thing, but I don't think most consumers will either.
So, on one hand, there's the wires in that sense. On the other hand, there are the sensors, right, for like the HTC Vive. The problem with that is, again, you need to set them up in an empty room, right? Which a lot of people have. I don't per se. I have enough space, but it's not a super empty room. And to get decent performance out of your tracking, you actually need to have more than the amount of sensors they give you. You have to buy extra, right? Which is very expensive. So you end up having to get like 5 sensors at like $80 a piece to have a decent experience. That's also solved by it being completely wireless. So now that we've talked about the wirelessness, next thing for me, PC compatibility. If I had to buy an Oculus headset and be limited to Oculus games, I wouldn't do it. I would aim for something designed for the PC. But that's not the case. Using the virtual desktop app, you can very quickly, efficiently, easily, smoothly, seamlessly use the hardware of your PC to wirelessly stream the games to your VR headset and have a great experience on PC VR. So those to me are really the big things. It's like there are other headsets that I could use, right? But I couldn't play on my PC wirelessly with any of them.
So it's essentially using your headset as a wireless monitor.
Basically, yeah, and the controls, but all of the
processing
rendering
happens on the PC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for people like you or me who are invested into their PC already, that's why I think makes it a perfect sweet spot. So going down beyond that, I would say those are the biggest things. but I also want a good resolution, right? That's why I bought
Mm-hmm.
the Quest 2 over
Yep.
the Quest 1, a greatly improved resolution per eye.
Mm-hmm.
The refresh rate
Yep.
with software patches, it's gone up to 120. To my understanding, the highest refresh rate available on anything is the Valve Index. In experimental mode, it goes up to 144. But realistically, if the Quest 2 is already software updated from 70 or 80 all the way to 120, they might be able to push it to 144 in this generation with another software update. And I have no doubt the Quest 3 would be comparable, right? So I would say that's really it. And then obviously one minor point now that we've touched on resolution and frame rate is comfortability,
Mm-hmm.
right? The Quest 2 made a really big improvement in terms of weight, but they also gave it a cheaper, shittier head strap. So for someone like me that's already been around, likes to tinker, plans on getting the best, most suitable aftermarket parts anyway to make it that much more custom and comfortable and better experience,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't really bother me, because even if it came with the same headband that came with the Quest 1, which I like, I would still be looking to replace it with something better, because that's just where we're at right now. There's
Mm-hmm.
always ways to make it better. So
Yeah.
I think that would be it for me.
I definitely agree with with most of what you said, especially with the comfort thing. A lot of it's display stuff, high quality display, high fresh rate. One thing you didn't mention, I think, high FOV is important as well, and all that kind of culminates to giving the end user a sense of presence.
What's that
being able
other
to,
shit? Is it called DPI?
where you're talking
Or
about the distance between your pupils,
yeah,
IPL, something like that, IPN, something like that. But yeah, a
the
lot of
Quest 1
headsets.
did do that better. I'll give
Mhm.
it that. In
Yeah,
the
when I was
Quest 2,
reading
it's
reviews on
snappable.
Quest 2s, it
Yeah.
wasn't as good on the Quest 2. And that was one of the few complaints about it, was not enough adjustments for that.
Well, if you're some fucking wide-eyed mongoloid, I guess VR just doesn't cater for you. It's typically for people that are reasonably intelligent. Sorry.
Uh,
The Quest 1, it had like a little wheel, so you could get really precise with it, like tweak it tiny amounts. Quest 2, it has like 3 or 4 snapping positions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm not inbred, so it doesn't affect me whatsoever. If you are inbred, maybe look at spending your corn money somewhere else. I don't know what to tell you.
So, do you think the Quest 2 is the best headset on the market?
If there was zero money involved, if it was literally pick brand new from manufacturer any headset you want, I would maybe, honestly, well, let me say this. I would maybe pick something else, but I don't think it would be anything that we've heard of.
Well, what does the whole wireless thing, which is what was you said was your number one thing, was the
For sure.
wireless functionality of the Quest? What other headset out there is wireless?
That's what
Most
I'm
of them are
saying.
tethered.
I think there might be a headset that I'm not even aware of that costs like $5,000 and probably does have a little bit better refresh rate and resolution and works wirelessly, and maybe I would go with that. But assuming that doesn't exist, I would go with the Quest 2 over new HTC Vive Pro or whatever, over the Valve Index, any of it, because the wireless play is that important for me.
Well, you're starting to sell me on the Oculus Quest 2, man.
I'm just saying, like, playing wirelessly, dude. Why do I need to justify that? Like, wireless play. End of conversation.
What is battery life like on something like that? Longer than you'll want to play VR?
Yeah, and again, that's one of the common mods on my Quest 1. I have that mod. They make little battery packs that you can put onto the back and then run the cable right into the headset to give it like an additional 6 or 8 hours. Mm-hmm. And I think with the Quest 2, they actually started making a by Oculus Halo headband like we were talking about, where you can turn the ratchet in the back, and it actually has a battery pack inside of that plugs directly in. And believe it or not, that battery pack was never really added to give extra battery life. It was to counterbalance the weight of the original Quest.
I'm just going to
So,
scare everyone here about this. Just imagine bad batteries that explode, but they're on your head. No bueno.
yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of that because I know what happens to a battery before it explodes.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
a good
guys
thing.
haven't seen a battery discharge before, then that's on you. I've
You
done
can't
lots
see
of
it.
them.
You have goggles on.
You can feel it. That bitch will be like 200 degrees on the back of your skull.
That's just part of the immersion. You're hanging out near a volcano in your
You're
VR
playing
world.
Doom, man. Fires of hell are hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I like the Quest 2 so much, man. It really comes down to the fact it's really simple for me. There's nothing off limits to me for using the Quest. I can play it myself on my PC and have an S tier experience. I can pack it up and take it with me if I want to go visit my nephew and niece or some friends or something. If I wanted to go to a like house party or go drink with some buddies, I could just whip out the headset. And I've done that many times, you know. When you were here, when Devin was here, I'll just pull that bad boy out and throw him in Half-Life Alyx so they can see what that's like, you know, and it's really cool. To this day, I remember putting on that Samsung Gear VR, which by all accounts is dog shit compared to any of this.
But it seemed state of the art at the time.
It blew my fucking mind. Like,
Yeah.
I was baffled by how cool that shit was. I think we were both sitting in your house when you lived over there, where I'm not going to say, in case some slobbering morons are trying to come at you. They're upset. They're going to run at you like Serious Sam style.
But don't worry. You taught me to tase the retards.
With their overheating battery pack VR headsets on, running at you just... Suicide bombers from Serious Sam. But I'm pretty sure we both sat in your living room with our headsets on, like not being able to see anything, just like talking about it. We're like, man, this is shit. Yeah, I can't remember.
Probably a little inebriated, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the game, but it was like first-person perspective. You're going down this big black room, and there's just like sheets of glass, and you throw marbles.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Yep.
I beat that game in the Gear VR, and that was like my favorite thing ever. And the Gear VR, for people who didn't know, didn't even have fucking controllers. It had like a D-pad on the side of the headset. Yep. That's what you used.
That was made by Oculus too. It was Oculus branded along with Samsung. It's like a collab kind of thing.
Yeah, no, they were in it early.
Put your cell phone in it.
Yeah, I was actually really bummed when mine got all broken and shit, because then I couldn't use my Gear VR anymore.
I still have mine. It's laying somewhere around. I used it like 4 or 5 times, and it put it back in the box I got it from, and never really used it anymore.
Yeah, I have it, but
modern day Samsung phones are too big. They don't even fit in it anymore.
Yeah, I
tried to revisit it, and none of my phones would fit.
Big L.
Yeah, too big. Yeah.
That thing was cool though. I fucked with it.
Well, that's the past in VR. What's the future look like?
Everything you can imagine, given enough time.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to be in Ready Player One.
Yeah, I mean, wait till the first big MMORPG hits, and then that whole tight-knit community's playing a game together. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
They have battle royales and stuff that I haven't really fucked with. If you get yours, then I'm sure we'll jump into some of those.
Yeah,
I haven't really done it.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that gaming is not going to take off with VR, and I just don't think enough of these fat neck-bearded gamers want to be doing physical activity in a VR with a VR headset. It's too much movement, especially when a lot of the games you can just sit down on a PC in your comfy chair and sit your fat ass down and just play games instead of having to be out. I don't think the majority of
gamers are fat neck beardy gamers, though. I think that's definitely a demographic, but I think that they could easily be trumped, you know. When's the last time you saw a fat, smelly neckbeard that played fork knife?
Well, let's put it this way. It doesn't have to be a fat, neck bearded guy, but I do know, for me personally at least, gaming is kind of like a chill time for a lot of gamers, I'm sure, besides myself. And VR is not always chill. I think it's one of those things where you just have an experience short term and you don't play it very long.
I think it depends because I know there are lots of people who use certain games as like
Hmm.
daily exercise. Like there are people who literally lose weight playing Beat Saber for 15 minutes a day. Or the boxing games, right? And that boxing game is genuinely exhausting. I don't know
Yeah.
if you ever played that,
No.
but oh my god. That thing had me like seeing spots and breathing. I was questioning it all standing in the kitchen. I
Well,
was
don't get
like,
me wrong. I definitely think VR is fun, and I definitely plan on buying a VR headset for myself. And I do think there'll be
I
plenty of
think
fun
having
experiences,
someone to play
plenty of
with
fun
would be
times.
different.
But I don't think it'll trump, me PC gaming more.
I
I think
don't
the
think it
VR will be.
would trump it. I wouldn't expect it to, and I don't think it would need to. But as far as it being intense, I mean, most video games are intense, and especially stuff like that we have played, right? Like
Hmm.
Tarkov is a terrifying experience.
Oh yeah,
That is intense. So I think we would be able to revisit the idea and talk about it if we, took a good week or two and picked out a couple of VR games to kind of just play through for a
yeah.
couple evenings or something like that. I
We should
will
definitely
say
do that.
something I would love to see in VR that I think would make it, I don't know how much more accessible, but I
VR
would
porn.
love if we could reduce the amount of light you need to track things accurately. Because like
Yeah.
as it stands, if it's night, you're going to have to turn a light on to like
Hmm.
have decent tracking.
Unless you have the PlayStation VR. That's
That's
why
not
the
even
control.
VR. We don't talk about them.
Hey man, the PlayStation VR is not as bad as I think it is.
It's not as good as you think it is. I can tell you that. It's going to be a
I
flop.
It's definitely, it doesn't need, well, at least the first generation. I don't know the second. I think the second generation is inward out cameras, and that's how it does its tracking. So it would suffer from the same thing, needing light. But the original one with the really dumb glowing balls on the end, it tracked those glowing balls, so it didn't need
It also
light.
had poor tracking. When we get done here,
Yeah,
we can pull up a
yeah.
compilation of PSVR fails, and you'll see what I mean. Like,
I
I looked
definitely
into
know
it
that it's not the
extensively. It
best.
was not a good experience. And for the price point, like, not a chance. I'll emulate the PSVR games on my PC if they're good.
I don't think
That's
there was
about
many
it.
good ones. The PS5 ones look like they'll be good though.
I mean PSVR 2, the
Yeah.
new ones.
Yeah, they look like some of those looked good when the videos we were watching about them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be willing to check it out.
yeah, that's kind of my take on gaming. I don't see it taking off. I think there's other ways that VR and AR, which we haven't even touched on yet, but I definitely think there's many ways
Well,
where
I
they will be
think that those
successful.
two things are together. They're not
I agree.
separated.
Yeah,
One
yeah, I
happens
agree.
before the other, but
Mhm.
we've talked about it multiple times, but just for the viewer out there. Long story short, computers were a novelty for a long time, right? Very few people had them. I can guarantee you, if this was 1987, I would have a fucking computer. I would be that guy because I'm the guy that has VR and shit now. I just love technology. But regardless, until the tipping point was computers became more productive than paperwork, right? The amount of emails, the amount of paperwork, the amount of everything you could do in an office environment, computers raised productivity a significant amount. At a corporate level, if you can get even 5 to 10% more productivity out of a new piece of equipment, they will invest in that. Partially because it's a good long-term investment, and partially because the way the tax system works, if you invest in something for your business and for your employees, you're going to get paid back for it anyway. So no one really cares. If it makes people's lives easier and more productive at work, it gets adopted. That's what happened with computers, right? Steve Jobs and Apple invented the personal computer, and they marketed it as a gaming device. Not entirely in the beginning, but a little bit down the road, that's what they went after. That's who they targeted. The creative, fun, colorful games, right? Microsoft went and sold their platform and their not their company, but their devices and their software to corporate America, right? Where it became massively adopted because it increased productivity. The people who didn't want a computer because they didn't see the point, they didn't understand it, they didn't want to fuck with it, were now getting them for free or having access to them at work. They became used to it. They wanted now to bring that into their home for other purposes, right? And I see VR, AR, all of that doing the same thing. I think you'll get adopted by the workplace, and then we'll get further implementation and innovation in the gaming space. So while it may not look like it does right now for VR gaming, I definitely think you're going to have whole subgenres, right? Like Steam, you go to VR, there's a whole category of games that you don't get out of your chair to play. There's a whole category of games that you stand or sit in one place and play, but maybe it's a little bit more interactive. Then there will be games where it's like full 6 degrees of freedom. You're crouching, moving, doing whatever you want. I think there's room for everything, you know, and it will be down the line. I think it'll be big for gaming and relevant. I just don't know that it'll look how it does today when that happens.
Right now we have VR gaming, like esports. I saw a video the other day.
Gorilla Tag?
I don't know what it was, some shooting game, and they had a whole esports live event thing, competition tournament. And it was really, really weird because they have all the players on this stage with the crowd, and they're in these VR cubes, and you just see them moving around, and it's really weird to watch them. It's a shooter game. They're laying down, going prone, doing all this crazy shit with a VR headset on, playing like a CS:GO type of game. So I mean, that's here now, but I don't know who watches that kind of thing.
I don't know, man. I mean, between AI and VR, there's some real interesting intersections. Watches all of the fight footage of every Mike Tyson fight ever, and now Jake Paul's fighting prime Mike Tyson in VR.
That would be super cool if we could have like a UFC game in VR where, like what you said, there's an AI that watches all of like Israel's fights or Francis Ngannou's fights, and we get in there and we get to fight with them, and they'll react
first
to your
person
movement.
question mark kick to the skull.
Yeah. Or it ain't just like some programmed moves. It's an AI that knows how Israel would react if I moved my body this way.
Hey, man, I'm just saying that's what we're on the verge of. We're right there with it. You know, AI is only getting better. Quantum computing is picking up a lot of steam, and that's a whole nother conversation. You know, quantum computing is absolutely fucking insane, and I love it. Yeah, it uses qubits. So, you know, Schrodinger's box, there's a cat in the box. You don't know if the cat is dead or not, but if you open the box, the cat will die. That's how qubits interact. You don't know what information it has, but if you open it to look at the information, it destroys itself. So on a security protocol, it's incredibly secure by its nature. And instead of doing logical processes like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it runs all of the possible processes simultaneously at once. So instead of like sequentially working your way down one line, it works its way down 10,000 lines at once. So specifically in the medical industry, that's really big for like blood work and stuff, because you can process, instead of going through all the different lists and looking for all these different things, you can look for everything and run every possible simulation simultaneously. One of the coolest demos of this is there's a game demo where it's like, it's not tic-tac-toe, but it's this really straightforward puzzle, right? It's like, how do you get into this box? And you can watch the game learn as it goes with the quantum computing AI. And within like 5 minutes, it's already like broken the entire game. It knows every single morsel of the code. It knows how to go over to this weird corner and do some kind of like jump slam that'll break the game and put it under the map where it can come up. Like, running every possible scenario and way to do something simultaneously.
What kind of power and hardware do you need to run something like that, though?
Quantum computing is not cheap nor accessible right now, but that's the way things go. Once upon a time, dog shit computers weren't cheap or accessible, right? So I would say probably about the time we're in our 40s, quantum computers will be really prevalent. Even if
Still
it's not
expensive, I'd
in your
imagine.
home, everything that you use as far as cloud stuff and software and servers will be running off of that. And that will have a tremendous amount of upside for potential, my opinion.
Yeah, I like the safety aspect of it, the security aspect, especially if cloud storage and things like that. You may have
As
sensitive
you're
data
sending
stored.
information, if that information is manipulated, altered, or viewed, it self-destructs.
And that information is lost forever, even if I need that information again.
Yeah.
Dang.
But,
So
know,
I submit
that's a security
my
breach.
I don't know, like an essay for college or something, and someone tries to look at it, it's deleted, and I have to redo the whole thing.
Well, keep in mind that, we're not talking about the submission of an essay. We're talking about, something being intercepted in those like immediate milliseconds. Some real hacker man type shit going on. And that pairs very well with crypto. Do you know how quickly we could get every fucking currency mined completely with quantum computing? All of a sudden, there is no more race to mine Bitcoin or Ethereum. We have all that we have, so now the value's only going up. I mean, in a sense, I think, as speaking as someone who holds quite a bit, yeah, because once it's all out there on the table, it can only get more profitable, right? There's no more to find on your own. It's all there. Like, this is it. The amount we have is what we have, so whoever has it, has it.
But you would flood the market instantly with all of the currency. Would that not make it tank?
But you would have it. No, because buying and selling behaviors is what, manipulates the market, not how much is in existence. Unless you're talking about some shitcoin like Doge, where there is no market cap on it. Then you could tank the market immediately. But, Bitcoin really is novel in its implementation of the blockchain. And most cryptos are not. People use them as basically scams at this point. They just make something and rug pull it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, I think there's a couple other implementations that
you want to go to the metaverse and bet our Bitcoin on the virtual UFC 296 in-person side stage.
Yeah, that's one of the things I have here. I thought it'd be really cool for virtual seating at sporting events.
I want to play the cut man. I want to be cut man. I want to put my Q-tips inside of Max Holloway's brain.
Oh no, that was so rough to watch.
Yeah, that was really gross. That was
You're
rough.
covering your screen with your hand.
I couldn't do it, man. I was ahead of everyone else on the stream, so I would get it first, and I didn't like it. I was like, I don't get any warning or anything. Ooh. Yeah, it was real gross. Couldn't take it.
Yeah,
I'd be throwing my headset off if I watched that shit happen up close.
Yeah, much like he said earlier, I think the productivity in the workplace will be what makes VR explode. I definitely agree there. Just being able to see and create like VR pre-production, like product demos and such. I think he named off some stuff like warehouse tours and things like that. They already do in VR. So I definitely agree with what you're saying on that. And
yeah, like the idea of putting on your glasses and like seeing real-time data on like the back and front pressure of something, the RPMs, the temperature, all of that kind of stuff. Huge.
I just don't want there to be a day when my boss can put on his glasses and now he's in my shop and he can just look around in VR around the shop and see what we're doing real time, which is nothing. So hopefully the technology doesn't get that far where your managers or owners can just have like a VR camera set up somewhere in the shop and just instantly pop in.
I mean, it probably will.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want to do nothing at work. I don't want to work.
It's all right, man. By the time by the time competent business people are that technologically savvy, we'll be out of the workforce.
Yeah.
They don't like new systems.
No, they don't.
They don't want to fuck with that. They just want to make money and pay people to make them more money and chill.
Well, we mentioned a little bit about, or do you have a comment or a thought? By all means.
The only thing I was thinking is that I would really love a more accessible VR experience for like certain simulations. Like
what?
Like, you know how at movie theaters and arcades they have like the sport bike in the little booth where you play the game? I would want to do that in VR, where I can like actually crank the throttle and use the clutch and, you know, lean left and right. I would love to do that.
They definitely have stuff like that, but yeah, they don't have it implemented in places like that yet. Imagine with today's day and age, that kind of tech would be expensive. But they do have that stuff. You ever go to the mall and you see the VR stations at the mall they have set up? I tell you, every time I go, that thing is empty. Nobody's doing the VR experiences at the mall, which is similar to what you're talking about. They put you in some kind of like gyro seat kind of thing, put a VR on you, probably play some kind of flight simulator for you or something. But yeah, no one does that. But those things aren't as interactive as what you're talking about, you know, being able to actually shift through gears and stuff. They definitely do make games that are that.
I think there's a lot of room.
Seat and everything.
I think there's a lot of room for like VR businesses like that, but the people who take on those ventures are just trying to grab some quick cash. They don't have any passion or, you know, knowledge in those kinds of experiences. But I could totally see for kids, you know, it's like strap on a headset. We're going to the Jurassic era to go look at dinosaurs. What's cooler than that?
Oh yeah.
Let's go to the moon. Let's watch Neil Armstrong take the first steps. Right? Or Buzz Lightyear, whoever it was. Super cool.
Yeah.
And the experiences, you know, like you were saying, there's no reason you couldn't have an app with all of the best roller coasters in the world and a bunch of ones that don't even fucking exist, like riding through Shangri-La. You know?
Yeah, and I can just have a fan blowing on you, kind of splattering you with some water.
Have the little fucking carts there jumping and turning and, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, like you said, literally just a fan and a spray bottle.
Just squirt you, mist you a little bit when you go through the water.
Yeah, all that stuff sounds super fun to me. And I just don't think that we're implementing it in that way. Or like we were talking about laser tags, stuff like that. There's all kinds of different fun, exciting things you could do in VR. And that's just never what they're doing in these little kiosks and shit. It's more like, okay, PSVR tech demo. Walk on this plank. You think you're gonna fall. It's not that fucking cool, man. Like, it's maybe if someone's never touched it, but well, that was the original demo.
Well, I mean, like we said to our earlier, you know, when we first got introduced to VR through the Gear, you know, that was mind blowing. That little bit of tech.
Yeah, I just think if you want any kind of business, you have a really shitty business model if there's no reason for people to repeat. And I think that that's something that is mind-blowing when you experience it and you want other people to experience it. But once you've done it, it's not really any point in doing it again.
Yeah.
Something more interactive, it's a different situation.
VR arcade. I like it. We should make one here.
Easy.
Expensive.
So, honestly, I don't think it would be that bad. Probably get like 6 or 8 VR headsets. And that's the majority of what you need. It's a tax write-off anyway.
And then a bike and like a race car seat.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, there's a good chance. I wonder. I know that you could get those for cheap from like auctions or thrift stores. Like I've seen them before. You know, I just wonder what it would take to get those controls interacting.
Yeah.
With a PC.
And a VR headset.
Really just the PC, though. Like, that would be the hard part or the important part. Because, you know, you can run wirelessly from the Quest at, like, 4K resolution through a PC in a racing sim. If you can get the controls to work, even better.
Well, we don't want no wide-eyed Neanderthal running off with the Quest headset.
You're right.
Might have to have a tethered one.
Yeah, we strap them into the motorcycle. and tell him that we're going to kick him over if he tries to leave. Honestly, depending on how it works, it might even be easier and cheaper than that. If, like, you had a racing sim on a motorcycle that responded to your leaning, like, based on the tilt of your headset, then you could have a good racing sim with one of those stationary bikes without having the real controls. Because let's be honest, the amount of people who are interested in using handbrakes and clutch is very small. If anything, that might be more of a motorcycle introduction course.
Yeah.
Right?
But just having the sensation of just sitting
just
on a
feeling
motorcycle.
like going left and right and
Yeah.
might be good enough. Sounds pretty fun to me. I'd fuck with
Yeah, I think we should do that. We can start a Patreon.
it. Kickstarter for the VR lab.
Yep. VR lounge.
Hey, I like it.
We should definitely do that.
Scared money don't make no money, player.
Yeah, and speaking of this tech and stuff, we got all the haptic feedbacks. Dude, you're rubbing off on me, man, and not like that. I don't mean it like that now.
You're rubbing one out on me, man.
But I'm over here saying, constantly. That's your thing.
You know?
I hope you know. But yeah, talking about haptic feedbacks and haptic
don't know.
gloves.
God damn it.
They know. I hope they know. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. But yeah, we were talking about earlier the haptic feedback suits this. And they have haptic gloves. Now they have gloves that when you grab things in VR, they add tension on your fingers and make you put in a little bit of strength instead of the zero resistance that you normally have with VR controllers to give you more of an immersive experience when you're picking up something and holding something in VR.
Yeah, and that's another point for the Quest 2 is the finger and hand tracking. It's still in experimental phases, but to my knowledge, I know the Index does finger tracking, like it pays attention to how many fingers you have on it, but the Quest does straight up. Kind of, but it's like really mechanical, like one finger at a time, either all the way out or all the way locked down. Right?
Yeah.
The Quest has hand and finger tracking, where it will literally follow your exact hand motions and what your hands are doing.
So we can throw up gang signs in VR?
Facts. I wonder if they have any Dragon Ball Z VR. Let's go do that.
Yeah, they definitely have a VR game.
I want to see what it's like for you to raise a whole goddamn spirit bomb and throw it at me. Sounds terrifying.
Hey, man, stand over there. I'm just going to spirit bomb you real quick.
Hey, man, stand over there for about 3 episodes or 45 minutes, whichever. I'm going to start charging up.
Don't move.
But yeah, man, if you are getting VR, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I've never gotten to experience playing games with somebody. I know there's a lot of potential, but I was on an island, so I went after the games that were interesting to me, a couple single player games, and I enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy it enough to do it on a regular basis, pretty much. That's what it came down to for me.
Yeah, I think the addition of some social aspect to that will give it a little bit more longevity, a little bit more entertainment.
VR podcast, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, we need to do that. Yeah.
Gotta find all kinds of crazy settings.
Yeah, sounds good to me. We'll make it.
Yeah, see, now if we were profiting from this podcast, I would go ahead and tell you to do it, write it off on your taxes, but you have to make money to be able to have that get out of jail free card where you just invest at a loss.
Yeah. So we need to make that t-shirts now, right? The bias and pandering shirt store.
Yeah, that would be one way to do it. That would definitely give us the taxation right away to spend money on things and then write it off. But either way, I would love to do some multiplayer games in VR. I feel like there's a lot of silly interactions to be had just by seeing things happen, to each other.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have Portal in VR. Dude, don't step off the button. All right, dude, I'm not. Don't. I'm not. All right, I'm going. steps off the button.
Yeah,
That'd be super fun.
Yeah, that kind of hit on most of the points I had for VR. You got anything to add?
Yeah.
I think VR movie theater seats would be cool.
Yeah, and I've spent a fair amount of time doing that stuff. Like, you could set up your own house however you want it on the Quest. You know, make your own landscape, whatever you want and stuff. And I know you got a taste of it on the Gear VR because they had that whole little theater, opera house looking thing where you could watch TV or whatever. This does that, except exponentially better, right? So, yeah, I'd totally be down to just check out all kinds of stuff with you whenever you got equipped to do it, and then, you know, find a couple of games to fuck with for sure. I'm telling you, man, believe it or not, some of my favorite games that I've played, like the Half-Life Alyx and stuff like that, a lot of stuff is really breathtaking and really plays with your brain and makes you think you're falling and shit like that. And that's really cool. Like that one game I showed you where it's like Splitgate in zero gravity, like throwing a ball through a hoop.
Oh, yeah, I played that game.
That game is terrifying, dude. It makes me feel like I'm slamming into walls constantly. Like, it was really cool, but in a very uncomfortable way.
Yeah.
But just being able to do some stuff like that would be cool. And like what I was going to say initially is that some of my favorite stuff has actually been playing like VR versions of Doom and Doom clones. Not like the new ones, but the old ones.
What's it like in that fast-paced type of game?
Yeah, and just the 2D sprite environment feels so much more vibrant and lively when you're walking through it yourself. And like you have the gun in front of you. That kind of stuff. It's really cool. I would definitely say check that out, because I'm sure you would get more enjoyment and entertainment out of that than you would just regularly doing it. And they have different ways you can do it. You can play it old school, where it's like the gun is fixed at the bottom center of the camera. It uses a lot of auto aim. Or you can set it up to have full 3D models of
I played that game.
Pistols.
I played Doom in VR on your
did you?
On your Quest 2. Yeah. I couldn't get past whatever level you were on. I just couldn't do it.
It's cool though. There's lots of stuff to check out, and if you're doing it, I'm definitely excited to jump into that and see what happens. And I will say, if you get a VR headset, I can almost guarantee people that we will start having a visual component from within VR. And I am going to go out of my way to find the most offensive and grotesque avatars I possibly can.
Have a different one every episode.
Yeah, like, hopefully I can like morph it on command, so it's like, you know, cat girl for the thumbnails to get all the weebs, and then it just turns into like Jabba the Hutt. That's the dream.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, I'm definitely we'll do that soon for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, do you have any other thoughts, feelings, or opinions for the good people?
No, we touched on a lot of the things I wanted to talk about. I'm super stoked for a VR experience. I've dabbled a bit in VR through various means, but I'm super excited to jump into it fully myself. I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. I'm hoping that fun will carry over to a longer period of time. I'm worried that it'll be a short-term type of experience, short-term enjoyment, and it'll be something that collects dust in the corner of my room most of the time, but we'll see. I'm excited for it either way, and I think regardless, I'll have fun.
I mean, that's how mine's been, but I also didn't have anyone to play with, so I think that might be a really big factor in it.
Yeah, I definitely think so too.
Especially if you were to go, well, I guess with any of the ones you're looking at buying, right? You could do it on your PC, but I'm a big fan of the wireless capabilities and virtual desktop, which is cool because it does everything your computer does. It's just streaming it to your headset. If you wanted to, we could go watch UFC events that we paid for, of course, in the headset.
I like how you added that little anecdote for Dana Pink.
Actually, if you go in VR chat, sometimes they have like movie nights and shit. So you'll just be on top of like a skyscraper in Gotham City.
Watching the
There'll
B-movie.
be a big ass projected screen of some pirated movie. I'm sure you could do the same thing with sporting events. So
Like
while
the,
not maybe
UFC
good enough
movie.
to do all the time, I'd be willing to do it every now and then. We set up like a ping pong table in front of the screen for in between fights or something.
Yeah. That'd be super
Hey
cool.
man, I don't know if the resources available can reach my creativity, but I'm gonna try. If you get one, we're gonna see what we can get set up.
Hell yeah, I'm stoked for it.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm fucking with it. You're fucking with it. Why don't you go ahead, hit them with the outro?
Whoa,
Nice little short,
no,
sweet.
no. Hold up. I did the
Uh-oh.
intro. You have to do the outro.
I don't do outros, man.
I don't do intros, but we did a shitty intro earlier, so you're gonna do a hopefully better than I do outro.
I'd air cut that.
Is that the outro?
Yeah,
Just cut it
that.
at the end.
I don't mean remove something. I mean cut that. Like
Cut.
hit S, splice, render
End
as, export. Cut that.
Hmm.
No, hold on. I can come up with some kind of wisdom. Hold on. Give it a second.
Get the brain juices flowing.
Wait.
I'm sending you good energy. You got it.
All right, everybody. That wraps us up. Remember, the Chinese are secretly bug people. Wait. I got another one. Armbar kids at the playground.
Oh man. Somehow that's not worse than Days
Who's
of
gonna stop me now? Who's gonna tear me down?